It was the first weekend after getting out. Rasha went with her girlfriends to Times Square to celebrate her release. That Saturday, they went for dinner at Chili's. Gabby was there, and Nikki too, and a couple of Rasha's other close friends. They sat at a big table, and Rasha savored the freedom of ordering food from a menu. Halfway through dinner, she got up to go to the bathroom. When she was coming back to her table, she froze in shock. It was him, at all the restaurants in New York City, and he's at this one. There, at another big table, was the counselor from MDC, the very same man who constantly talked down to her and her sister, who treated them like criminals, and criminals like animals. The man who'd made her mother cry. She stood there for a while, just watching him. He was with his family at what appeared to be someone's birthday party. A woman, she looked to be his wife, was beside him, and his children around him, along with several other people. Everyone was standing up at his table, pleasantly socializing. Rasha stood there and waited. She knew what she had to do, but she didn't want his children around. A couple of minutes later, they were off playing with some kids at the other end of the table, and Rasha strode quickly over. She tapped his back with her finger. "Hi," she said. Her voice was ball-bearing steady. He turned around. "Hi," he replied, but there wasn't a hint in his voice that he knew who Rasha was. "You don't recognize me?" All the scenes when he'd yelled at her, when he'd made her cry, when he'd made her mother cry, flashed in her mind, and yet he didn't say anything. His expression remained changeless. "Remember?" she said, her voice turning up. "MDC, you don't remember me?" And suddenly she realized, of course he doesn't remember me. I'm not in a beige jumpsuit. But then he responded. "Oh, wow," he said. "See, you cleaned up your act." Rasha stared into his eyes. "You know," she said, inhaling deeply, I wasn't supposed to be there in the first place." She then lectured him about how he should have known that, and that he needed to learn a thing or two about respecting others. She could feel her chest rising the whole time. She ended by telling him, "You are a fucking asshole, and you will always be a fucking asshole." And before he could respond, she twirled deliberately and walked back to her table with a stiff spine and an anxious but triumphal smile growing on her face. She ran the last steps and was out of breath when she got to her friends. She told them what had happened. "You won't believe who I just saw," she yelled. She explained who he was and what she'd said. "It was such a satisfying moment," she told them, her voice sounding all brassy, like a trumpet blowing victory. "I would have punched him," she joked, "but he's like 7 feet tall." They all laughed, and Rasha was ecstatic. She couldn't wait to tell her parents. She knew it didn't really change anything, but it didn't matter. It just didn't matter. It was such a satisfying moment, confronting your jailer on this side of freedom, such a satisfying moment.